every conversation I have with you is a lesson in history. Well, just like what you just talked about.
I got a lot of stories. Well, I got some stories from my dad. You know, I am fourth generation here.
Yeah. Where are you at, Linda? Oh, okay.
Okay.
So go ahead.
It was my great-grandfather. He was a soldier in the Prussian army in the Franco-Prussian War of 1870. I mean, that was a short-term war. That, incidentally, was a war that brought about the Second Reich. Hitler had the third. The first was the Holy Roman Empire. Anyway, after the war was over, they proclaimed Germany became a country for the first time rather than a region, a single unified country under one Kaiser instead of a king here. You go to Germany. Ever been to Germany? There's a castle on every hill. I'm not exaggerating. Fortified cities here, and this, that, the other thing. You know, there were city-states and little teeny empires. They all united under the Prussia was a big country, which includes Berlin. Was the biggest country that was Germany, but western half of Germany was city-states and little teeny, you study feudalism, you're studying Germany. Right. Basically.
So that's where your great-grandfather grew up.
Yeah, and
fought in that war in 1870.
He fought in that war in 1870. He paid somebody to take his place in the Prussian army. So much money for somebody to recruit, and migrated. He, his wife, and his brother-in-law. His brother-in-law is Dietrich, same as my middle name. Merkin was his name. There is an area there they call Merkin Bench, which is if you go out where the Pacific Crest Trail comes along the Hat Creek Rim, it drops down a little bit. There's a little bench in that big thing where you're up on the bluff looking down into the Hat Creek Valley. There's a Merkin Bench right there. That's where it came from. Because apparently he just moved away from humanity kind of a thing.
And lived up on the Hat Creek Rim?
And lived up there, halfway up the Hat Creek Rim.
Wow.
On Merkin Bench. They named it after him.
Interesting.
You can drop right down from that area there. The Pacific Crest Trail crosses right there. But you can go out a little further and you're looking right down on that big radio telescope that's sitting down there. Right down below that. And that's on the, what's the name? Bidwell Ranch.
Okay. Yeah. All right.
That's the surrounds.
We've got a lot of Bidwells in the Burney Cemetery.
You probably do. From the Hat Creek.
And they're the old tombstones.
Yeah. Well, my grandfather had one sister whose name escapes me. He was the only boy in the family. He had 4 sisters. I don't know how many. But one sister had 12 children. That's what got me a pile of relatives. Big time. 12 children is a lot for one woman to bear.
Yeah.
And even in those days, especially, or any time, anywhere, 12 children, God's poor one.
Right. That's like Jacob in the Bible.
Yeah.
Yeah. So your great-granddad moved out here with these other family members.
Right. They settled up in the Feather River Canyon, tried their hand at gold mining, but the panning for gold days were pretty much over at that point. Now it's become high-tech. Takes a lot of heavy machinery and dig a hole way the heck down there and all of that kind of thing. They didn't have the money for that. They come out, and then 2 years they were there in the Feather River Canyon, one of the little tributaries, but every spring the snow would melt and whoosh, there went last year's work downstream with the melting snow. They migrated up here through the canyon that you can see right up here from Pit 1 grade. That was the Winters Toll Road. The Fall River Mills town founder built that road. His grave is right smack dab in the middle of the Fall River Cemetery.
The golf course.
Golf course.
Oh, in the
Golf course, right smack in the middle of the Fall River.
What was his name again?
William Henry Winters.
William Henry
And
Winters.
he had a wife, can't remember, but that's the only graves. There was a big cemetery there. People stole the gravestones year after year after year after year. The only reason his survived, it was too damn big. It's a stone that high, this square with a spiral on top, and then it's got things that say who's buried, the husband and the wife buried together there.
What did they do with the stolen gravestones?
Who knows? Why would anybody go steal a gravestone? It was an old abandoned grave cemetery out in the middle of nowhere, you know.
And that's where the golf course is now?
Yeah.
It's not in the middle of the golf course. When you go up into that,
yeah. Well,
there is a road, and the golf course cannot block it off. But the golf course would prefer if you would let them know, and they'll give you a time that you can go through. But
so the golf course is built around the cemetery.
Here's the cemetery. Here's the houses. You know, the houses on the golf course.
Right.
And the golf course is over here. The golf course kind of goes around like that. It's not on that side.
So they aren't playing golf on the graves?
No.
No, but nearby they are.
Nearby,
there's a fairway right next to it.
Right.
In fact, different story, but there's a little plaque there for
Joyce Holder.
Joyce Holder and Susie's stepmother were playing golf, and she died right on the course. And she was a member of the ladies' country club or something like that. They didn't bury her there, but they put a little plaque right up there. And when the women went by, they'd throw a tee or a ball or something out for a long, long time. You know.
Oh, that's
out
interesting.
Of respect,
right. Yeah.
And they did put up a little plaque. You know,
so getting back to the story of your grandfather now. I was the one who caused you to digress. So, so he came up here.
Yeah, with a little dab of gold that he found, needed some work. He took over running the Winter's Toll Road through the canyon. He ran it on the west end of it, which is right on the bank of Hat Creek, between 299 and Hat 2 Powerhouse. That's where it crossed Hat Creek. There was a bridge built there, all across Hat Creek. His job was to put up travelers, feed their horses, charge them toll money or whatever, you know, that kind of thing. Roll boulders off the road that rolled in, and that kind of caretake the road as best he could, and so on. And he did that.
What year would this have been then?
Yeah, the late 1870s, somewhere in there. 1870, 1880, I don't know exactly what year, but he did that for a few years. And meanwhile, another toll road opened, the Baker Toll Road, which is the one they now call it, blankety blank bureaucrats gave it the Castle Fall River Road. You know, it was originally the Baker Toll Road. A guy named Baker committed murder, the son of the man who built that road. He committed murder, so they changed it to 6 Mile Hill Road, because it's 6 miles from Fall River Mills to the top of the grade. Right where you look down off that cliff that I'm talking, you know, there's kind of a cliff there and looking into Hat Creek Valley, and 6 miles down the other side to Castle.
Okay.
So 6 Mile Hill Road all my life. I never will get used to the Castle Fall River Road name. That name drives me up the wall. And it just, you know, I'd like to find the guy who named it and, you know, get a committee together and go down to Redding and do the same thing to them that they did to us. Eureka Way would be Redding Eureka Road. South Market would be Redding Anderson Road. Cypress Avenue, Redding Enterprise Road, and so on. You know, I'd like to just, you know,
Now, speaking of names, what was your great grandfather's name?
Friedrich.
Friedrich. Okay, Friedrich Knoch or Knoch.
Knoch. He had a middle name, but I don't know what it was.
Right, but it wasn't just Knoch. It was
Knoch.
Knoch.
Yeah, that in German that means bone.
It means what?
Bone. B-O-N-E.
Oh,
bone.
B-O-N-E.
That's the German word for bone. I speak a little German.
That's right. That's interesting. Knoch. I wonder why they called him Bone.
Nobody called him Bone. Nobody ever called him that. Nobody knew that.
Right.
I took German. I learned that in German when I was in college. I didn't know what my last name meant in German.
Right. So he worked for Mr. Winter.
Yes, he did. For quite a number of years. Got paid by Winters' son, I think, for the work he had done over the years, because Winters owed him a bunch of money and gave him the property, the Knoch Ranch that you see there now. My grandfather had been born, and they kind of took over. He really was the one who built a ranch out of it. Made a big cattle operation out of the whole ranch there.
Because
that's
Winters,
D. Knox Road.
D. Knox Road.
You know, and that's short for Dietrich.
Winters gave your great-grandfather the property in lieu of money that he owed him for taking care of the road. In lieu of money that he owed him, yes. Exactly. All right, well, that's fascinating.
Yeah, and it turned out to be fun.
Yeah, you got a good ranch.
Yeah. Winters had some real wild ideas, and I don't know how he's... Captain William Henry Winter, was he a captain in the Civil War? Where the title captain came from, I don't know. Was he in the Army? I don't know. Nobody knows that. I don't, anyway. At least I don't know it.
But he was a captain.
He'd been a captain, you know, that captain something.
Maybe he was a riverboat captain on the Mississippi.
That could be. It could have been a cavalry or infantry captain. Who knows?
Right. Yeah.
Or he could have... I don't know where he got the name or anything. But he had bright ideas about converting the falls in downtown Fall River Mills. The original name for the town was Fall City. They changed the name to Fall River Mills later on. When, why, what year, I don't know. But he was going to use those rapids to turn paddle wheels. And he did. He had a flour mill and a lumber mill set up there, you know, with things that were sawing logs, water-powered. Well, of course, nothing like a war to bring a lot of inventions into play, and the steam engine came along. Now, all of a sudden, you know, you don't need a water paddle wheel to make a, you know, to run a sawmill or a flour mill. Now you got steam power to do it, you know. It'd been adapted. It came along for steam locomotives a little earlier, but war really brings a lot of invention to this world.
Yeah. So
atomic bombs and machine guns and all of that kind of thing, you know.
Before that, all the people all the way up the pit to Goose Lake, this would be the power center where they would be doing their milling and everything like that.
Floated. That's how they. One famous story that happened. Oh, I don't remember what year it was, but people that lived along the banks of Fall River, if they owned both sides, they put booms across the river to keep boats out. And a couple of guys, one night, they I don't know where they put in, but they got in a boat with a little outboard motor, just a thing, and they started up the river, and they're sawing cables, go take those booms down. Well, one guy had his boom hung on his own private bridge going from one side of the river to the other on property on both sides of. He saw him doing that. Somehow at night he saw him. He sneaks out on his bridge with a rock about yay big, and he goes, kaboom, sank their boat. These guys had to swim for shore because they were cutting his cable. Yeah. He went to court. The finding of the court was ancient pioneers used it as a navigable waterway because they cut logs up in Dana country where the timber is, rolled them into the river and floated them all the way to Fall River Mills to be sawed. See?
Even right down here at the bridge.
Yeah. Yeah. You can see sunken log here and there in the bottom of the river, you know.
So there was a common law.
So that was it. Therefore, it's a navigable waterway. The booms have to go down. Ever since then, you know, now you can put in a boat. The counter argument to that was PG&E put in 2 dams.
That's right.
One's the intake, where they diverted the water through the tunnel to Pit 1. The other was right there at the end of Long Street and a little bit further, where they, you know, backed it up so they could get more water through their tunnel. That's all that was about.
Destroyed the fall.